Hi everybody. It has been 1 week since I made the video about submissions, and we at Black Wolves went through all of them and then got all of our self-tapes back and we got to watch them. And I got a lot of really great response on the other video that I made, so I decided to make another one about the art of self-taping. Now, this isn't going to be like a 30-minute tutorial about how to set up your home self-tape studio. That is a whole process that takes a lot more time than I have for this video, so I am going to hit broad strokes. And if you have any specific questions, my Instagram, my Facebook, you can find me and send them to me. I'm happy to help people out in whatever way they need. So the first thing I want to talk about is framing, setting up a frame, setting up what you look like on camera. 'Cause it's the first thing that anyone notices is what they see. What you look like in frame, what your backdrop looks like, what your camera looks like, all of that. First things first, landscape, not portrait. If you shoot it in portrait, it does not look good. It makes you look super long. You want things to look wide. You want them to look open. You want them to look inviting. If I have it in landscape, I can see everything. It's viewable on a phone, on a laptop. It looks really good. It is the proper formatted way to do things. Do it in landscape. Do not do it in portrait. I cannot tell you how fast I will turn off your video if I see it's in portrait. In terms of your framing in this landscape format, you're going to want a little bit above the top of your head to about mid-chest. So basically, what I have framed up for this right now. It allows me to see your face, which is the most important thing happening, and it doesn't let me see too much of you. I know there are a lot of people that say, like, oh, you should show them your whole body so they know what you look like. And yes, that is true. But if you're someone like me who talks with their hands, which you can't really notice right now because the frame is cut really nicely, I'll bring my hands up so you can see generally what I do while I talk. It is very distracting. If I'm doing this the whole time that I'm self-taping, you don't really want to pay attention to what I'm saying because my hands are moving too much. So if you cut the frame off, I'm still able to do everything that I was doing before, and my hands are still kind of unconsciously moving as I'm communicating, but you don't notice it so it doesn't distract you. So it still works. What you're going to want in terms of your setup is a plain backdrop with a non-moving, very steady camera that just sits. There are some people that I've seen who like to film their auditions like their movies with zoom outs and zoom ins on location. Trust me, it looks like you care. I understand that you care and you want to do a really good job, but it makes you look sloppy and it gives me 100 more reasons not to cast you. If you just have a steady shot with you in front of a plain backdrop, all I'm focusing on is your acting. If you attempt to film an entire scene, what ends up happening is I start focusing on your camera, on your lighting, on your sound, and then I'm not paying attention to your acting, so by the end of your audition tape, I'm going, wait, I was supposed to be paying attention to that person as an actor, and all I was worried about was their camera person and their reader, and that's not good, because I don't have time to watch your tape again. If I can't remember your acting, I'm not going to go back and see it again. I'm just going to move on to the next person. A plain backdrop gives you a really nice look. It looks chic, it looks professional. Some people use gray. I prefer dark green or a light to dark blue. They're really nice colors. They make you look settled. They make you look happy and inviting. They make me want to watch you. They keep me calm. Earth tones, always appreciated. When you are doing a self-tape, try and maintain as much stillness as possible. I know there's a habit by a lot of us when we talk to move forward and backwards. Forward and backward movement looks very big on camera, and it can often mess with manual, actually more automatic. It can often mess with automatic focus cameras, because as you're moving back and forward, the focus is trying to keep track of you, so it's going to start changing, so you're going to start going in and out of focus, and that's really distracting to watch. Also, when you use zooms, like I'm using with my camera, the slightest lean forward starts to look like I'm rushing toward you. And it gets super distracting and super off-putting. It's not something that you want to see. That's frame, basically. Top of the head to the middle of the chest with a nice backdrop and a steady camera. That's all you really need. If I see those things, I know your tape is going to be professional and ready. In terms of lighting, you really can get away with just a ring light. Right now, I'm using 2 backlights and a light from a lamp, and it's pretty good lighting. I have an additional ring light that I use when I film self-tapes. It gives me a nice front-facing color. It makes me look nice. You can find them anywhere from like $10 to like $110. It all depends on what you're going for and what your budget is. Really, you can make it work with almost anything. In terms of sound, getting a nice microphone is helpful. There are ones for iPhones, there are ones for cameras. It's important to have good quality sound because for the most part, I'm listening to your tape, not necessarily watching that. I know that that sounds weird coming out of my mouth, But if I'm writing you notes, if I'm sending an email, if a producer texts me and needs me to respond right away, I don't have time to stop, do that thing, and then get back to your tape. For the most part, I'm doing it at the same time. So if you give me something that I can't really hear, it makes it more difficult for me to cast you. If I hear your voice and it pops and it comes through crisp and you've made really strong choices about it, then instantly my attention is pulled back to you and I go, they're great, give them a call back, move on. In addition to sound, and I know it's super hard in this day and age when self-tapes are basically expected the next day with no notice, please use a reader in person. Do not use a Skype reader. If you use a reader over Skype, I either can't hear them or I am exclusively thinking about the fact that you're using a reader over Skype. It is very obvious when you do it. You might think you're getting away with it. You might think, oh, it doesn't really sound like they're not in the room. I can hear their microphone going off. I can hear everything that's happening in that room. So I am very acutely aware of the fact that you're using a Skype reader and it throws me off. Don't ask me why. It sounds weird. It just doesn't quite work. You never quite feel like you're talking to a human because for the most part you've put your computer somewhere else so that you're not looking at it. Just get a reader that can come in and frame up your camera. I know it's difficult to get people to come together, but it's super important nowadays. Offer to film one of your friend's self-tapes. If you both have a self-tape to do in the same day, often what I'll do is I'll get my friend to be my reader and my filmer, and then we'll switch. We'll just do 2 self-tapes in one day. It's a super effective strategy. These are my acting general notes, and then I'll go with how to send a tape. So, acting general notes. Be memorized. Period. If you're not memorized, I know that you think you can do good acting, but it will never be as good as the acting you can do when you're memorized. When you're memorized, you're fluid, you're on it, you know what the next section is going to be, you don't have to look down. Every time you look down, you drop your connection with the reader. And if you're dropping your connection with the reader, you're not really in the scene. And in order for me to see your best acting, I need to see you in the moment, moment to moment, just having that connection. If you're just reading off a page, I don't know what you can do when you get to a set. I need to know what you're going to look like the moment you get on the set. The second thing with that is, and it's going to sound weird, don't act. There is this belief, I think, that as actors we have to do, and we have to try, and we have to push. I think the greatest acting I ever see is acting that is just existing in a truthful moment. Just tell the truth. You know the character's story that you're playing, or if you've done your research and looked into the character, you know as much as you can know about this character at this moment. So just tell their story. Telling a story is very, very effective when it's done truthfully and properly. And so if all you do is tell the truth of the words that are written on the page, I am far more likely to cast you than someone who's going balls to the wall, crying and screaming and all of this stuff if I don't believe them. Crying in a scene where you have to cry, very useful. Screaming in a scene where you have to scream, very useful. But remember that at the end of the day, it's all about the truth. And if I don't believe you, and I don't believe the truth that you're telling, then I'm not going to give you a callback, because I don't think when you get on screen I'm going to believe you. And if I don't believe you in a movie theater, then my movie is screwed. Finally, in terms of actions as they come across in the script, there's screen direction. Some people debate whether or not to do it or not. Entrances, exits, I think that's debatable. It depends on the scene, it depends on the moment. Food and drink, most of the time, can be mimed. There are specific actions, though, that affect character. I wrote in my script a moment when 2 characters are supposed to pinky swear something. The screen direction is actually she holds up her pinky for him dead serious. She asks him to promise something. Half the people auditioning didn't do that action, and that's one of the most important moments in that scene for me. So missing that moment means I think that they missed out on something important. They didn't do the work that they were supposed to do beforehand. And so it makes me less likely to cast them. The people that did do that moment, I really got to see it. I really got to experience it. It felt right. 2 final kind of miscellaneous things, which was originally supposed to be 1 miscellaneous thing, but then something happened while we were filming the video and I came up with the second. The first one is, make sure your batteries are fully charged before you start filming a video. If you're in the middle of a self-tape and your battery dies, it's really going to piss you off and you're going to lose half of your progress. Case in point, we were just recording this video and my battery died. And so I was right in the middle of the sentence and I couldn't finish it. So make sure your batteries are charged. Make sure your memory cards are clear so you don't run out of memory space in the middle of the tape. The final miscellaneous thing is Google Drive or Dropbox to send me anything. More often than not, Dropbox, and I'll tell you why. If you send me a regular video through email, the quality is going to drop. I'm not going to be able to see it as high-tech as you want me to. If you link me out to another website that makes me download a file, it takes me longer to watch your tape. If you give me Google Drive or Dropbox, both have ways that I can click on a link and watch it. Google Drive, the only problem is sometimes it doesn't process your video very quickly, so I still have to download it. Dropbox I have found to be the most consistent way to get a video, click on a link, and hit play. And if I can do that, I can get right to your video and right to the process. If I have to wait to download 6 things and then wait for all of them to come up and then open all of them individually, it's just so much more work, and so much of the time I'm either going to go, this isn't worth the effort, or I'm going to say, this was so much effort, their tape better be amazing. And if your tape doesn't then live up to that quality, then you've already set yourself at a disadvantage. So, Google Drive or Dropbox if you're sending it to me. Yeah, I think that's it. Again, all of this is my opinion as a director, a writer, someone who's been in the business for a little while. These are things that I found and discover work for me. They might not work for everybody. You might have a casting director or a director tell you something completely different. So, again, these are just my guidelines when it comes to submissions to me and things that I've noticed over the years. If you have any other questions about any of this, reach out. We are doing in-person callbacks in the next couple weeks. And so as we do that, I will do another video about in-person auditions and what it's like to be in the room, and how your energy affects us on the other side of the table. So until then, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys soon.